Zoro was real. Roronoa Zoro is based on the real pirate L'Olonnais Francois. The name inspiration is obvious considering how Roronoa is pronounced in Japanese.
Roronoa Zoro!
But besides that, real life L'Olonnais, like Roronoa, was known as a demon and one of history's most violent pirates.
I killed the sun!
But that's not all the Zoro inspiration I got for you today. Zoro's move and personality are based on a demon like Asura, forever war-waging and six-armed beings from Hinduism and Buddhism that you will be reborn into if you're a
Real bad man.
And Zoro's sword Enma is named after the god of hell from Japanese mythology, and even its purple color has historical meaning. Purple used to represent royalty due to its rarity. And yes, I once again gave you all the answers off the top without begging you to watch the whole video, subscribe, ring the notification. No, we don't do that here. But now that you have these headline answers, let's go deeper. And as a reward, at the end of the video, I'll tell you the nationalities of all the Straw Hats. So I guess actually I am kind of asking you to watch until the end.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Roronoa Zoro is based on the pirate Francois L'Olonnais, who lived from 1630 to 1669. 69. And my man L'Olonnais was vicious with a capital vicious. His favorite hobby was to torture, and his favorite method of torture was using his sword to peel people's skin off, with second and third place torture of choice being burning people alive or choking them to death with a rope until their eyes pop out.
Nice, very nice. Thanks.
This right here is the only portrayal of Francois L'Olonnais that we have, and it's from 1684. If the only painting of a man portrays him with his sword, you know dude was serious about that thing. Since he was a swordman with a mustache, a lot of people are saying that L'Olonnais also inspired Mihawk, and I see it. I just think Mihawk takes more from Vlad Dracula, but that would be too much for this video, which is about Zoro, who shares more similarities with L'Olonnais. The name, again, L'Olonnais, and the Japanese pronunciation of Roronoa, that's evident. Then there is the obvious fact that both are pirates, but really Zoro's entire reputation of being a demon comes from L'Olonnais, because if there was ever a demon pirate in real life, it was Francois L'Olonnais. After being a servant for 3 years of his life, Francois decided to become a pirate, and 2 years later, his whole crew was killed, and he only survived because he covered himself in blood and hid under the bodies of his comrades.
Wow, man. Damn.
Now, if you're thinking, that's not very Zoro-like, Zoro did the exact opposite when he took all of the crew's pain on himself. Well, yes, you're right, but this is real life, and in real life you do what you gotta do to survive, and L'Olonnais did survive. So with that second lease on life, he decided to download Raid Shadow Legends for free, because Raid is celebrating its 6th anniversary, and to celebrate, they want to give back to the planet. Every download saves an animal life. Yes, this makes me happy, genuinely. And this is also not your average promo. This is a good cause. In fact, Raid allowed me to choose between 4 good causes I can support, and I chose to save sea turtles because I miss my dog, Zizu. You might remember him from the older videos. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I think I like animals more than humans. So I'm really proud about this one. I like that they do that. Download Raid, and once you reach level 20 in the game, Raid will save a sea turtle.
So give me some fin. Noggin. Dude.
In fact, since it's their birthday month, they will double that until the end of April. So 100 people downloading with my link or QR and playing until level 20, that's 200 sea turtles saved. And if you're thinking, yeah, that just sounds like promo crap, they're not really gonna do that. Well, I talked to them about that, and they will actually send me results and a certificate in a month so we can check in on how many sea turtles we saved. And if you're on the fence about the game itself, check this out.
Please, I'm innocent!
That's just a tiny part of a whole series they produced on their in-game lore. Raid is legit a labor of love and not some cheap pay-to-win mobile game. You can absolutely just play the game for free and have fun without spending a dime. That's how I did it.
That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far.
So download the game by the link in the description or scan the QR and you immediately get a huge anniversary starter pack worth $60 with an epic Zargala. Then use the anniversary promo code SUPREME6 and you will be welcomed with the legendary champion Supreme Gaelic. And on top of that, if you don't want Supreme Gaelic but someone else, you can use either code MONKEYKING, GETALICE or GETLOKI to get the Monkey King, Wukong, Alice the Wanderer or Loki in the game, as long as you do it within 48 hours after downloading. Just remember that you can only choose one promo code. You get me, bruv. Then download from the link in my bio or the QR and let's save some sea turtles. And if you search Briefed in the game, you can join my clan, Briefed Nation. But in my clan, we will not be pretending to be dead and hide under our fellow soldiers' corpses like Francois L'Olonnais.
Cowards do that and that ain't you!
But hey, at least L'Olonnais survived. He definitely lost his Pirate Rookie of the Year campaign, but he came back stronger, like I say. He reassembled a new crew and took over the pirate hub Tortuga in 1660. Tortuga at the time had a population of about 5,000 people, and L'Olonnais held all of them hostage until the government paid his ransom of 40,000 pieces of 8, aka 40,000 Spanish dollars, which would be roughly 4 million US dollars today. But the government said,
"We don't negotiate with terrorists."
And they sent a kill squad of 200 soldiers to end L'Olonnais and his crew. And L'Olonnais obviously had experience with facing certain death, but this time he said,
"What do we say to the god of death?"
And he instead killed every single government agent, beheaded all of them, and let only one live, and told him,
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to run on home. And I want you to tell him. You tell him I'm here.
In fact, we have the exact message that L'Olonnais told this survivor to deliver to his government. I shall never henceforth give quarter to any Spaniard whatsoever. After Tortuga, L'Olonnais' crew got bigger. 8 ships, 440 people, and the next island on this crew's adventure was Maracaibo. Was a city in Venezuela, a fortress protected by 16 cannons aiming at any coming from the sea with bad intentions. Maracaibo was said to be impenetrable, but not for L'Olonnais. He said,
Give me 10 good men and some climbing spikes. I'll impregnate the bitch.
In 1666, L'Olonnais simply avoided the cannons facing the ocean by invading Maracaibo via land, by marching through the swamps around it. At this point, the man had a bit of a reputation, because beheading hundreds of government agents will do that for you, so all the residents of Maracaibo hid their gold and valuables and fled in panic once they heard he was coming. So, L'Olonnais tracked them all down and did a bit of skin peeling, a bit of burning, and a bit of rope choking until they told him where they hid their stuff. Then, him and his crew left Maracaibo richer and more infamous. Next stop on their journey, Gibraltar was another town in Venezuela near Maracaibo, and they were ready for L'Olonnais. At this point, the pirate crew consisted of 650 people sailing on 8 ships, so you could tell the L'Olonnais pirates were coming from miles and miles away. The government of Gibraltar anticipated them and locked the place down with 500 government soldiers to protect it. But L'Olonnais and his crew rolled in there like... And after they took down the government soldiers, they held the remaining 1,000 people of Gibraltar hostage and asked their government for a ransom. Obviously, the suits had to pay this guy now because all their forces were dead, and obviously, now that they couldn't do anything to oppose him in any meaningful way, L'Olonnais took the ransom and then sacked the city anyway. Next stop, At this point, wanted posters of Francois L'Olonnais were all over the place, and the price on his head was 50,000 pieces of 8, which is the equivalent of 5 million US dollars today. He also had a nickname now. The government called him the Bane of Spain, which that's actually bars.
Because I spit hot fire.
But here in 1668, L'Olonnais was finally stopped and captured, and his journey was over. Because L'Olonnais then killed his captors and escaped, and I don't need to describe to you how he did that, because I can just read you a quote from a contemporary witness. He drew his cutlass and with it cut open the breast of one of those poor Spanish, pulling out his heart with his sacrilegious hands, began to bite and gnaw with his teeth like a ravenous wolf, saying to the rest, "I will serve you all alike if you show me not another way." And the rest didn't want to be served all alike, so they showed him the way the hell out of there. L'Olonnais was free again. Next stop. The year is 1669, and L'Olonnais is now 39, ready to terrorize and plunder the people of Panama. But the Panama natives, known as the Kuna, flipped the script on him. They defeated L'Olonnais in battle, captured him alive, and then they, and I quote again, they tore him to pieces alive, throwing his body limb by limb into the fire and his ashes into the air, to the intent no trace nor memory might remain of such an infamous, inhumane creature. And that's the end of the story of the real-life demon pirate L'Olonnais, who inspired One Piece's resident demon pirate Roronoa Zoro. But it's not the end of the video, because there's a fair bit of mythology and history that also inspires Zoro. First of all, you know how he has this fighting form? Yeah, that is taken from Hinduism and Buddhism, specifically from the Asura. And simply put, most of the Asura are a demonic entity that oppose the Deva, a godlike entity. Think of it like a war between demons and angels, with the Asura being the demons. They have 6 arms and live for nothing but battle. In fact, they love battle so much that when they're not fighting the Deva, they are fighting amongst themselves in the Asura realm, which in Buddhism is one of the 6 cycles of rebirth that you can get trapped in, depending on the amount of karma you have. I did a whole 30-minute video just on this, but to put it simply and for the necessary context you need here, a quick recap. Buddhism has 6 realms in its cycle of rebirth. The lowest and worst is straight up hell. If you're absolute scum in your life, you will end up here and be tortured until your bad karma is cleansed and you are reborn. In Sanskrit, this place is called Naraka, and in Japanese, Jigokdo. One level above that is the Preta realm, or Gakido in Japanese, for reincarnations with slightly better but still very bad karma from their previous life. Greedy people end up here and are forever hungry ghosts that seek nourishment but will keep starving until their bad karma is cleansed and they are reborn. Above that you have Tiryagyoni, or Chikushodo, the animal realm, but basically it means that you are reborn on this earth as an animal, only driven by instincts and the need for survival. Above that is the Asura realm, with the aforementioned Asura who live by one credo only.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
And above that is our world, which you're obviously quite familiar with, and above us is a realm known in Sanskrit as Devaloka and in Japanese as Tendo, the paradise-like realm of the Deva. Only those with top-tier karma are reborn here. And to escape the cycle of rebirth, you need to find true enlightenment and will be rewarded with the peace of nothingness, aka Nirvana. So those Asura whose power Zoro wields, that's where they come from. And this also gives us a potential glimpse into the future of Zoro's powers. One Piece, as a whole, is entirely inspired by Buddhism. The whole journey is a reimagination of the Buddhist book Journey to the West, which features a group of heroes adventuring their way to enlightenment. I also did a video about that, by the way. And in the cycle of rebirth, if an Asura finds enlightenment, if they overcome their hateful, angry, battle-lusting nature, they can reach nirvana and are truly powerful in the peace of nothingness. Just food for thought. You can theorize in the comments what that could mean for the future of Zoro. And the demonic hell theme continues with Zoro's sword, Enma. The name Enma comes from Japanese mythology. Enma is the lord of the underworld, a god that resides over hell. But Enma is not some vicious, murdering Satan, though. He actually resides over hell in a very bureaucratic manner. Actually, you remember Enma from Dragon Ball? Yes, a lot like that. Enma has a scroll known as Enma-cho, on which he records all of the good and evil deeds of every dead person so that he can judge them properly and send people to where they are supposed to go. And only the worst of the worst gets sent to what we call hell for eternal suffering, or what, as I just told you, in Buddhism is called Naraka in Sanskrit or Jigoku in Japanese. And because this is still a mythology and history channel first and foremost, I gotta point out how this is very similar to how hell functions in Greek mythology and also in Norse mythology and Egyptian mythology. Hell is mostly just a part of the underworld, but really the underworld is where all who die go, and the god of the underworld resides over all of them, meaning that in reality, the god of the underworld has much more responsibility and controls a much bigger realm than any god of the living. And in most of these mythologies, the respective god runs his or her underworld like a judge. Every action of your life and your browser history is judged, or in the case of Egyptian mythology, your heart is literally weighed against justice on a scale, and depending on the outcome in all of these mythologies, you are sent to the part of the underworld that your actions in life set you up for. Only the worst are sent to suffer in what we mostly understand as hell. So that means that the rulers of these places like Enma in Japanese mythology, or Hades in Greece, or Hel, the daughter of Loki in Norse mythology, and Osiris in Egyptian mythology, they're not evil devils, they're not Satan or the enemy of God, they are simply the gods that rule the underworld, just as important or arguably more important than any of the other gods. Alright, that was a bit of an aside. I do have a video on each and every single one of these underworlds. You'll find more information there. Point is, there's a lot of meaning in the name of Zoro's sword, and even the color holds meaning, though this is more historical than mythological. Enma is purple, and historically, purple dye was a rarity because purple-colored fabrics used to be very expensive to produce. It took 10,000 of a specific breed of sea snails, the Murex brandaris, just to get 1 gram of purple dye. It means that back in ancient times, purple was used as the color of royalty to display their wealth, because flexing was even a thing back then. So yeah, that's all the inspirations for Zoro, both from the real world and mythology. And since a lot of Zoro comes from Japanese myths, history and traditions, you won't be surprised that Eiichiro Oda, the author of One Piece, for those that don't know, he confirmed Zoro's nationality to be Japanese. And as I promised, here are the nationalities of all the other Straw Hats. Sanji is French.
No. See. Oh.
I think this surprises no one. If we go by French stereotypes, and Eiichiro Oda purely defines these nationalities by stereotypes, Sanji loves women, smokes, dresses fancy, and he is a cook. Checks out. Also, all of his attacks have French names. Épaule, poitrine, collier, shoulder, chest, neck, all parts of the body, or more specifically, befitting his cook theme, all certain cuts of meat. Eiichiro Oda also confirmed that Frankie is American. He's loud, he rocks Hawaii shirts, he loves Coke, the drink,
Oh, please give me Coke. I want a Coke.
Also, Frankie is a gearhead, so that just completes the list of American stereotypes for him. Chopper is Canadian. Reindeer, Canada. Yeah. Brooke is Austrian, since I guess to the outside world, to anybody that's never been to Austria, it would just forever be stuck in classical times and they will forever look like Mozart. Hence Brooks' look and him playing the violin. Nami, according to Oda, is Swedish. And I don't see it, actually. No, not even in terms of stereotypes. She's not the stereotypical Swedish blonde, and also money is not really associated with Sweden. Switzerland would come to mind first, or Norway, thanks to their massive gold reserves. So, I don't know. A lot of people mix up Sweden and Switzerland for some reason, even though they're not that similar. But it's actually gotten to the point that they even released a campaign for, or rather against, the confusion.
It's time we make the distinction between our two nations as clear as day.
So maybe that happened, not sure. If you can see the Swedish in Nami, drop a comment and let me know, because I don't see it. Nico Robin, Russian. Her cold, calculated nature, her being a spy, or having been a spy rather, her features, yeah, I see it. It's just that all her attacks are a mix of French and Spanish, like Say's Fleur, but yeah, I still see the Russian. Usopp is African, says Oda. Yeah, he gave him the whole continent. The curly afro-like hair, fuller lips than the others, darker skin tone. I see it, but I really think Oda could have specified North Africa. And Morocco, for example, for Usopp, 100% see that. But he also has some serious Latin American, Brazilian vibes for me. But that's actually Luffy, who according to Oda is Brazilians. The sandals, the vest, straw hat, shorts, the go happy nature. Yeah, checks out, I guess. But there's more to Luffy and his connection to the Caribbean, and that would concern the stories of the real life Joy Boy. But that's a video for another day. Until then, don't forget that you can help make a difference by downloading Raid Shadow Legends and save a sea turtle simply by playing the game. Use code SUPREME6 for your welcoming package and either Monkey King, GETALICE or GETLOKI for either legendary champion. Use the link in the description or the QR. And thank you. Thank you actually for being part of a good cause.